Hi, welcome. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Today we are interviewing a first robotics coach and high school engineer teacher at West Bloomfield High School named Mr. Millard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Max. Thanks for inviting me.
How did you get the nickname Buddy?
Well, that's not a very long story, but my name, for those of you who know me, it's Francis.muylaert, and I'm a junior because my dad's Francis Millard Sr.
What made you want to join First Robotics?
Actually, it was the students because we were doing Okra in 2005 when I started at West Bloomfield High School. The high school already had an Okra, which is Oakland County Competitive Robotics Association robotics team. That's countywide, and the students had always showed interest in doing first. Then around 2013, we actually got an offer from Gail Elpert, who's the president of First. And at that time, J.C. Penney's was funding rookie teams to get started. And so that's how we got started.
When did you first hear about First Robotics?
Back in 2005, when I first started doing Okra for the district.
How long have you been a part of robotics for?
This is my 18th year, I believe. Maybe a little wrong on that. It's 18th or 19th.
What seasons have you been a part of?
Well, the high school competes in two different main seasons with big robots, and those are the Okra season, which is our fall season, which runs from September to December. And again, like I said, that's Oakland County's robotics program. And then we compete in First, which runs from January, the first part of January when we do kickoff, until around March or April, depending on how far you get in the season.
What teams have you coached or been a part of?
Well, basically, I mean, I work with other teams, other first teams through gracious professionalism. I've worked with Birmingham, and we've worked with the Livonia team. My sister actually is the coach, well, assistant coach. Her husband's the coach for the Woodhaven Goon Squad team. She just started doing that, her and her husband, last year when my niece, Annie, got interested in it.
Do you ever have anxiety while or before you are making a decision for the team?
Oh, I think anxiety is natural. So yeah, you always wonder, you want to do what's best for the team, and you want to make sure that the students get the best experience out of the program. So yeah, of course, you're anxious at times when you're making decisions because some of the decisions can affect the end result of how well your robot performs, or what the students are learning. So you always try to take your decisions cautiously, but at the same time, you want to be steadfast. You don't want to be wishy-washy on what you're doing.
How do you deal with your anxiety when you have it?
Usually I just try to reassure myself that this is what's going to be best, and I try to turn that anxiety or fear into excitement and just run with it.
What team numbers is your team for First and Okra?
For Okra, we're team number 3. And for First, we're team 4737. And I also forgot to mention that we also do a little robotics competition with Lawrence Tech University called RoboFest, where we do small autonomous robots.
What is your favorite thing about robotics?
The student learning possibilities, because they actually get to apply a lot of the knowledge that they've learned in school, but they don't always understand how it applies to life. And so, especially in the math area, I like to always say that if you want to not have to do a bunch of stuff over, do the math.
What is your least favorite thing about robotics?
Well, First has a funny saying, and they say it's the hardest game you'll ever love. And you know what? I believe that to be true, because sometimes when you can't get something solved, it gets really frustrating, and you end up butting heads with people, but eventually stuff works out. So you just got to take one step at a time and calm down and look at the situation. And I really try to get that through to my students, that if they just relax and look at the situation and not get over anxious or anything, that they'll get to the solution.
What is the hardest thing about robotics?
Sometimes solving the problems. It just depends. There's good days, there's hard days, and there's easier days, I guess we could say. Or you could say there's hard days and there's harder days. but it's all for the student. It's all they get out of it what they put into it.
What was it like to make a space for the middle school robotics inside of your room?
Well, let's go back to how that came about, because during the fall of 2020, I mean, pretty much everything was shut down because of COVID. And prior to that, the middle school had been in and out of here, but they weren't really in the same shop area as me. They kind of had different rooms and they were shuffled around. And so during COVID, we really got a chance to work with the FTC team and Coach Chris and Coach Alicia, and it was great. And we kind of developed a friendship, and it was just seemed natural for them to be here. And so now I think it's working out awesome, because you're on FTC, or you were last year, and that gave you a chance to kind of meet the high school students and know what was coming up, and you get to see what's going on. And the high school students have done and worked with you all a little bit. So I think the relationship's been great, and that it's actually creating more of a cohesive team and an easier follow through for the FTC students to continue on to FRC. What about you, Max? What do you think? Are you looking forward to joining our team next year?
I am. I've enjoyed getting to know a little more from what I would say of I saw a little bit of when I was focused on a lot of FTC. I saw a little bit, but now doing RoboFest and having a little more time, getting to also see and experience like what do you do on the high school team, and I think that's helped me to prepare for what's going to be coming. So I'd like to thank you and everyone on the Atomigators for giving us that experience.
Oh, we're always happy to have you. So thank you.
You're welcome. And you're the engineer teacher at West Bloomfield High School. What is that like?
That's what I started as 15 years ago. 18 years ago, sorry. I've been teaching for 21 years now. So I started here 18 years ago as the engineering teacher, and I really enjoy it. I've gone through different rooms and different classes. Class names have changed, but for the most part, the engineering program itself, a lot of the stuff that was taught in the beginning is still there and still very viable. So the only thing that really changes a lot is technology, right? And it changes at a pretty quick pace. So we try to, keep up as much as we can with what we have, and, give our students the best education that they can probably get. I have a lot of students. I'm not ashamed of this, but so I have former students that work for Chrysler, NASA, SpaceX, the U.S. government, military, civilian, and working as a military engineer. And the list goes on and on. So, I mean, I could talk about that for a long time.
What inspired you to be a coach or a teacher?
I was inspired to be a teacher by my kind of disdain, or my kind of not connecting with a lot of my teachers when I was a kid. I mean, I had a few, don't get me wrong, I had a few that I really liked, that really stuck in my head and did a great job. And those were the ones that I kind of modeled myself after. I always wanted to make sure that the kids knew the why, okay? Because that was one of the biggest questions that I had when I was in school. Why are we doing this, and how does it apply to life? And so I always try to bring that into my classroom so that students can make a connection with, what we're doing and how is this going to help me, or how am I going to see this in real life? What would it look like?
Being the engineer teacher, what are the classes that you teach?
I currently teach Project Lead the Way Engineering, Engineering Academy 1, Engineering Academy 2, Engineering Academy 3, and Engineering Academy 4.
Which one would you say is the easiest, and which one would you say is the hardest?
I wouldn't rate them from easy to hard. They're different, okay? So like Engineering Academy 1 and Project Lead the Way, I like to describe that as kind of like, when you go to the movies and you watch all the previews, and you get a little idea of what every movie's going to be like, the ones that are coming out. Well, in Project Lead the Way and Engineering Academy, you get a little idea of a whole bunch of areas in engineering, okay? Because that's kind of what it's like. It's kind of like you're watching a preview. And then as you progress, you get further into the design process in 2, and you do more building. And then in 3, you kind of look at the avenues that, or the student looks at the avenues that they're interested in, and we kind of focus more, have a more of a student focused curriculum there. And then in the last one, the students actually go work with engineering instructors and engineers at Lawrence Tech University.
Every time I watch the movie clips, though, then it's like I want to watch every movie that they show.
Right. So that, but it gives you an idea in the beginning of what area of engineering you might like, because engineering, if you get a degree in engineering, it's one of the most versatile degrees out there. I mean, you can go work for a business and start in their engineering department. And if you don't like it, there's a chance that you could move to the business areas, but you're never going to start with a business degree and have them move you into the engineering area. It just usually doesn't happen that way. I won't say never, but I would say that it's highly unlikely.
What is your education?
Well, I have a bachelor's degree from Eastern Michigan University in industrial technology education. I have a master's degree from the University of Michigan in special education. And then I have a real estate license too. So, and I hold a journeyman's card from the IBEW. So I'm not your typical teacher. I didn't start in kindergarten and go to, through elementary and then middle school and then high school and then to college and then back into the educational institution. No, I was out. I worked in a small print shop for 7 years where I learned a lot about the printing industry. I worked my way up. I started cleaning presses. So that's what I started doing. I started cleaning out the printing presses when I started. And I worked my way up to where I was pretty much managing the place. But unfortunately, like many other careers out there, technology kind of killed the small print shop. Okay. Your mom might remember, or some people, my age would remember when we had speedy printings on every corner. Okay. Well, they're not there anymore. I mean, you're lucky if you have a FedEx or a Kinko's around anywhere anymore. And so that industry kind of just dried up because laser printers and computers were replacing what we could do at the print shop for people. So after 7 years of being there, I went and I started an apprenticeship at around 26 years old with DTE. At that time, it was called Detroit Edison, for what they call line clearance tree trimming. So what I did was I cleared the power lines of all the tree branches, so that hopefully they wouldn't fall and damage the lines during a storm. And, this weather we just had recently, shows the need for that. I did that for around 5 years. And then my last 2 years, well, I did it for around 7, but my last 2 years, it was kind of a combination. I was finishing school up and doing substituting and working at Edison in the summers. And then finally in 2002, 2003 is when I got my first teaching job. So
Where did you get your first teaching job at?
my very first district I ever taught at was Woodhaven, Brownstown. And then my very first teaching assignment that I got permanently was at River Rouge School District.
What did you teach when you started your teaching career?
When I started at River Rouge, I taught wood shop, printmaking, CAD, drafting, and then I did a little bit of special education. I did math and social studies.
And then how did you find your way to the West Bloomfield School District?
Well, after working for River Rouge for 3 years, at that time administrators could bump, but if they decided they didn't want to do it, they had the right to go back in the classroom. Well, one of the administrators that didn't want to be an administrator anymore, he was certified to teach my area. And so he told the administration in December that he wanted to go back in the classroom next year. And so they were kind enough. I mean, they told me in December that, yeah, it's looking like you're going to be laid off at the beginning of next year. So that I immediately started looking for other, positions. And I just interviewed at several ones, including my my own high school that I went to, Plymouth Canton. But when I came here and I talked to the administration here, it seemed to be a good fit. They seemed to like me. I seemed to like them. And obviously it worked out because I've been here 18 years, right?
The district is lucky to have you. You're a great teacher, coach, and person. And then you've been the engineering teacher at West Bloomfield High School ever since.
Yeah, I did special ed while I was here for a little while too, but mainly engineering. And I've always, the whole 18 years, I've always run the robotics program.
Were you the special ed teacher or did you do something else?
No, I was the special ed teacher, you know. So, I mean, that was for a couple of years. I enjoy teaching. So really, honestly, I don't care what kind of classroom you put me in. You know, if I will try to find a way to A, connect with the students, and B, make that subject interesting for them.
Do you have any advice to anyone who wants to be a first coach or mentor or join robotics?
I'll start as a team member. You know, if you're an engineer and you want to give us some of your time and join the team, we'd welcome that. You can reach me at my email. You can look it up online, or it's Francis, FRANCIS .Muylaert, MUYLAERT at WBSD.org. If you're a student, come see me. I'm in room 450 at the high school. If you're a parent that wants to get involved, you know, we'd love to have you too. We have several parents that are involved now that, you know, help out with a lot of stuff. And, you know, look, building robots or robotics isn't just about building robots. We have business team that like takes care of our logistics and works with our media and promotions and getting our t-shirts ready. And then we have the design team that actually puts the whole robot design in CAD so that we know what we're building. We have our coding team, which without our coding team, we would just be making a big anchor because it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't go anywhere, right? And then, of course, we have build team. And build team is the most intensive. They're here pretty much every day with me. And they just work on the design that's been developed and, you know, try to get us a winning robot for the year.
I also saw you won the West Bloomfield High School Teacher of the Year. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was quite an honor. I'm very surprised, you know, was unexpected. So it was quite an honor to get that. And I thank the district for it because, yeah, like I said, it was quite an honor.
You deserve it. What did it feel like when you were given the plaque to see?
My face was probably really red, you know, because they came in during one of my classes and they actually asked the students, you know, because I said, oh, you know, what did I do? And, you know, to deserve this. And they were like, well, we think you deserve it. And they said, what do you think, to my students? And they all cheered. So then, of course, I was more embarrassed at that point, right? You know, but like I said, it was a real big honor, Max. And, you know, it felt really good to be recognized.
What does it feel like to be Teacher of the Year?
I honestly, I really don't feel much different. So, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, I feel honored and a gratitude for getting the award, but my main focus is my students and making sure that, you know, they get an enjoyable educational experience that, you know, they can utilize when they get out in the real world.
Thank you for all you do. Thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too, Max, and thanks for interviewing me. You take care and look forward to seeing you at robotics soon.
I will. See you soon.